What is up, guys? Silver Warrior here, and today I kind of just want to make a video that is like a follow-up to my last video, you could say. I don't want to call it that necessarily, but just like I feel like with my last video, I kind of left you guys who are just getting into silver stacking kind of hanging because I made this video, basically saying, yeah, these are all the worst things to buy when silver stacking, and you're like, okay, well, I won't buy those things. I know now what to not buy, but what should I buy then? What if I want to get into silver stacking? And I'm thinking about it, and it's not really fair to do that without making a video about the top 5 best things to buy when silver stacking so you can actually get your stack started. And the first couple of things I want to talk about is probably the most important ones, especially in just a pure stacking in of itself, like thought process. And the first one, of course, is going to be generic Boolean, which none of the stuff in this shot is generic Boolean. I mean, it all is Boolean because it's all pure silver, but none of it's generic stuff. All this carries a premium. This is probably the lowest premium per ounce just because it's a heavier thing. But all of this does carry premium, so I guess it's I don't really have any good examples on me because I am on a vacation right now, so I don't have that much silver with me. But just basically an example of generic Boolean is a piece of Boolean that's been mass produced within, like, especially millions and millions of them are produced. Like the American Silver Eagle is not really an example. Like you might think, okay, well, what about that? Because technically those coins still carry a higher premium than they should. But just like a company like, I don't know, go look up JM Bullion 5 ounce. Well, they don't really make their own bars. Go look up like 5-ounce Sunshine Mint bar. That's an example of a bar that usually sells extremely cheap for sometimes as low as melt value, especially the 10-ounce ones from JM Bullion. That's a really good example of a generic bar. And just generic Boolean, these bars and rounds that you can get for very close, if not at melt. The next thing I want to talk about is junk constitutional silver. When I say junk, it doesn't mean it has to be all coals or anything like that, but basically just constitutional silver that really doesn't carry much value to it. And I'm not trying to say go and buy a bunch of silver war nickels because just because those have really low premium on them or sometimes sell for undermelt doesn't mean they're worth buying, because usually a lot of the times they're bought for undermelt as well. You'll have to sell them for that. So I'm not saying go with those necessarily, especially because if you wanted to melt them down in a situation where you needed to, that would be extremely difficult to do because they're only 35% silver as opposed to 90. But I'm just saying, just go for even the 90% stuff is usually relatively cheap. And if you know the right people and just have some friends in the business or whatever, you can get it relatively cheap. And even if you can't get it for super cheap, usually most people will give you a relatively good deal on it. And it's a really good way to accumulate silver very quickly. And as opposed to knowing exactly how much you have, if you have a decent amount of junk silver, it might actually surprise you how much it ends up equaling, because trust me, it does add up very quickly when you're just stacking it. And you can stack it in ways you can't with 1 or 2 or whatever ounce bars, because those are very linear. It's, you're getting this much silver at a time. With junk silver, it's a very odd number, and you could get one or coin less or more in a specific purchase, and it's going to be that much difference in silver. So it's kind of interesting to see the way it builds up. Next two things I'm going to talk about are going to be how to add some variety and how to add some real value to your stack in the numismatic sense. And first thing I want to talk about, staying on the topic of constitutional silver, is rare U.S. silver coins. And I don't really think that a lot of them are a good investment, because I feel like a lot of them are overhyped or just in markets that change too much. But however, there are certain U.S. silver coins that are relatively rare that are good value and a good deal. And there are some that are undervalued right now as well, in my opinion. I'm not going to go into all the specifics of that because that's a whole other video for itself. I might actually make a video if you guys want to see on the top 5 or top 10, whatever, most undervalued U.S. silver coins in the future, because that sounds like a really good video topic. But as for now, just, basically, I think that there are certain series that are much more worth collecting than others. There's certain series that are undervalued, overvalued, whatever. But like I said, I'll get into that in another video. So just find the ones that you really do think will suit you best, which kind of is leading into the thing I'm going to be talking about last year, so I don't want to get too much into that yet. But fourth thing I want to talk about is specialty MS70 bullion. So my last video I said to avoid anything that's under MS70, and I still definitely am sticking with that, because that any graded bullion or anything modern whatever that's under MS70 is not worth anything really. But the MS70 pieces sometimes are kind of controversial, because I feel like I do understand where people come from when they say you're just paying for the holder, not the coin. But at the same time, other people are willing to pay a lot more for that holder than you are if you get them when they first come out. Like I've gotten several Eagles that are, you know, SP70, MS70, whatever, when they first came out, and I've seen them, every single one of them, more than double in value. The worst performing one so far, and not even worse, it's not even performed poorly, but just the one that's gained the least amount of value, still has more than doubled. I paid like 85 for it, and it's already selling for 200 in auctions now. And and that's the 2017 MS70 gold foil first day strike eagle. 2016 one you can't even find anymore. So trust me, when it comes to certain coins, a lot of them are going to be just novelties that are going to wear off. But with a series as solid as the American Silver Eagle, there is some real money to be made. Pandas I know are especially good as well if you get the specialty coins, because those will go up majorly in value year after year. And the American Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, and other coins that you can find specialty versions of are very good examples as well. And I'm not saying go out and just buy any MS70 nilly-willy, because a lot of them aren't worth anything even after some time. Especially now, like back in the 80s, even 90s, the MS70s were worth good money, and even in the early 2000s, because there weren't so many of them. But now there's so many coming out that they, even after 5 years, they're not going to experience much gain in value. But the specialty ones that are extremely rare and get harder to find by the day or by the week are going to be a very good investment for the next several years for you. And finally, last thing I want to talk about is nothing specific, but just finding a certain, like, very, like, specific thing in silver that you want to specialize in. And I don't think anyone ever really emphasizes the importance of this enough, but you do need to find, like, your thing when it comes to silver. Okay, mine kind of is the American Silver Eagle, those rare specialty ones. That's why I get them when they always come out, and like I talk to people and stuff, and, you know, make sure I know when they're coming out now, because I know how much those can go up in value. And it's kind of slow. Like, you don't get a bunch of them because you only need to get one of each series, and only like 3 different ones come out that are really worth collecting to me. And, you know, the proof, the SP or burnished ones, and then the regular mint state 70s, all of which are extremely rare. Those are the ones that are worth collecting to me. And of course there's other ones out there, but anyway, long story short, what I'm trying to say is do find a field in silver that you want to specialize in, because that is going to help you so much in the long run. And people really don't talk about this enough, I don't think. But whatever it is, and I'm not saying they'd be like, oh, I'm going to specialize in constitutional silver, because that's very, very vague. You need to find a very specific asset to be like, oh, I'll specialize in Morgan dollars, is an example of something that I would say is a very good idea. Or even, you know, if you want to be in bullion, rare old bullion, you know, rare old Engelhard bars, or just old bullion in general. Whatever it is, find something that you see value in a lot and that interests you a lot, that's something that you can stick with, and you will be able to make a lot of money on that. And with that, I do hope you enjoyed this video. That is it for this one. Very sorry about the late upload. Peace, love, and much respect.